Rubbing down my turkey. I feel like she's going out into the sun. I'm gonna put some sunblock on her. Don't want you to get fried, little lady. Hey, I'm Megan Mitchell, and I'm here in the Thrive Market Test Kitchen, and today I'm gonna show you how to make a turkey. Thanksgiving is upon us, and I'm gonna show you my tips and tricks for making a turkey, carving a turkey, maybe making some gravy, I don't know. Before I do, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And if you're wondering what Thrive Market is, it's an online market that sells organic and non-GMO products. And guess what? Turkeys. Yeah, straight to your door. You don't even have to leave. You don't have to put pants on. So Thrive just launched their holiday meat bundles. They have these beautiful turkeys. It might be hard to find a free-range organic turkey. Thrive has them, and they will come straight to your door. Once again, the no pants thing. I'm just gonna I feel like that's the highlight of this. And it actually comes pre-cooked. Why get a turkey that's pre-cooked? 1, saves time. 2, saves oven space. The turkey's not gonna be in there all day long, so you can make your green bean casserole, your sweet potato casserole, whatever. Your pies, you have more room in your oven. And I don't know, sometimes it can be kind of intimidating. Is it cooked, is it not? I don't wanna serve it raw to my in-laws. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. No, I don't. I love you, Steve and Nancy. I don't want to serve it raw, and I also don't want it overcooked. When you get this little angel baby, she will be frozen. It has thawing instructions and reheating instructions on the back, but it says about 4 hours per pound. This is an 11-pound bird. I know math, that's 44 hours. So it'll take 2 to 3 days to defrost. So just think ahead. You cannot just pop this guy out the day before. You gotta defrost it. I'm gonna show you ways to jazz it up. You can stuff the cavity with citrus, herbs, onions, garlic, which gives it even more flavor. You could do a rub on the outside. You could just do some salt and pepper and oil to crisp up the skin. You could do a compound butter. There's so many ways to jazz up this turkey so it feels like yours. It feels special. It feels like, hey, I made this. So I've taken my bird out of the bag. I patted her dry, and I have a roasting pan and a roasting rack, because I don't want my bird sitting directly on the pan because it might stick and it might burn. So you always want to have it elevated a little bit. If you don't have a roasting rack like this, you can do a baking sheet, like a cooling rack, you can do that. Or you can crumble up a couple little balls of aluminum foil and raise it up on that. Or you can even just cut up lemons, oranges, onions, just something to lift it off of the pan because you don't want it directly on the pan. I'm gonna stuff the cavity with some citrus and herbs, and then it'll drip from the bird and it'll make a delicious gravy, a pan sauce that we can make into a gravy. So depending on how large your bird's cavity is, you can cut them into quarters or halves, just depending on how much room is in there. Boop. And then I have rosemary, thyme, and sage. Stuff that up. I feel like these are very Thanksgiving flavors. So now that I have some flavors inside, I have 2 cups of low sodium organic chicken stock. I'm just adding that to the bottom of the pan to help start my gravy as well. So all of the drippings from this will go into here, and it also steams a little bit, so it gives it a little moisture. I have an herb butter mixture because I like butter and I like herbs. Same herbs that I used: rosemary, thyme, and sage. Room temperature butter. Slather this on some bread and bake it, and you got some delicious garlic bread, just saying. I'm done. And that's how you do it. No, just gotta plop her on there. You wanna pat the bird dry too before you do this, or it'll just slide right off. Clean hands, just gently massage the butter into the bird. So if you're wondering why I'm putting the butter on the outside, on the skin, instead of under the skin, if she was raw, I would put it under the skin. So that way it melds into the meat itself, but she's already cooked. And I don't want to mess up her skin. She's been taking collagen and she wants to look young. Okay, I'm not gonna mess up her skin right now. So I'm just putting it on the outside. It'll gently infuse. And if you want, you can also add like a little bit of this into the inside of the cavity too. It never hurts. Just season the outside with some salt and pepper. And like I said, when this bakes, some of the butter is gonna melt off. It's gonna form a delicious pan juice in the bottom, pan drippings. This looks great. I popped this in a 325-degree oven for about an hour and a half, hour 45. If it starts to get a little brown or a little crispy on any part, you can lightly tent it with foil till it's ready to go. This bird is still a little warm, so I'm gonna use 2 forks to move it over to my carving board. It looks great. It looks pretty. So before I start, I want to show you all of the pan drippings inside my roasting pan. I'm going to make a real delicious gravy out of that. All right, this seems a little intimidating, but I'm going to show you the way that I like to carve it. What I like to do is I like to cut off the breast first, and then the wings, and then the leggies. So use the breastbone as your guide. Go to the side of it. So this comes out in one chunk. And I like to cut the breast this way because everyone gets a little piece of skin. Everyone gets a little bit of the breast. So this is my way that everyone gets a little bit of the crispy, delicious skin and a bit of the white meat. So just cut it like that. Just take this, get under here, and just put it on the platter. And if you don't want to feel rushed and you're carving the turkey and everyone's waiting, I feel like that's like, everyone gets crazy. The turkey's out, they're like, give me food. So if you want to cook your turkey a little earlier, carve it. You can keep it in a pan. You can put it back in the roasting pan with the juices, and then you can keep it in your oven at a very low temp, like 200, 220, and it just keeps it nice and moist and warm, so you're not rushing and carving and you lose a finger or something like that. So, I don't know, give it a try. If you don't want to be rushed, you want to take your time, you want it to look really pretty. On to the next breast. Do the same exact thing. Like I said, use the bones and the cartilage as your guide. They're kind of guide your knife where to go. Just cut it into pieces. I immediately want a turkey sandwich because that's my favorite part about leftovers. I think about, while I'm eating Thanksgiving dinner, I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna eat a sandwich. I'm gonna make some soup. All right, now I'm gonna take off the wings. I'm switching utensils. I'm going to scissors. This is where you have to get down and dirty. So just take the wingtips off. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like whatever little bits are left on the bird, you can pull them off. And then also it'll add more flavor because I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna make a bone broth. So you want some of that cartilage and those bones. But the scissors just help you get into the areas that maybe it's a little tricky to do with a knife. Now, I don't know, some people don't put the wing tips on or the wings, sometimes they do. It's my grandma's favorite part, so I always include it for you little bisky. Now we're going to the legs. Remove this little part. And you can see all of these amazing aromatics in here. Oranges and lemons, rosemary. You can discard these. They're no longer of use to us. I no longer need you. You did a great job. Now this one's for me. Just put that one on my plate. I'm gonna take a good nap after. So this looks beautiful, but I wanna make it a little more festive. So I have rosemary, I have some fresh bay leaves, and I have sage, and I'm just gonna tuck it around the bird just to make it look nice and festive and pretty. You definitely don't have to do this, but even if you're just with family or friends, you want to make it special. And I also have citrus. I have Meyer lemons, I have persimmons, and I have pomegranates. You can use whatever you like, but I stuffed the cavity of my bird with citrus, so I thought it'd be nice to also garnish with some citrus. And that's how you carve a turkey. My little trick of getting the breast off so everyone gets a piece. You'll be the star of Thanksgiving if you put this down at the table. You remember those pan drippings that I showed you in the roasting pan? I poured them into a large sauce pot, and you never know how much you're gonna get from the bird. So what I like to do is I have another pot on my stove, and I have low sodium chicken stock in here. If you can find turkey broth or turkey stock, you could do that as well. And I add fresh herbs, those same herbs that I used to stuff the cavity and put on the outside. So I have sage, thyme, and rosemary. It just infuses it with even more flavor. And then I'm gonna mix them together. So that's nice and hot. Fine mesh strainer. Let's see if I can do this. I'm just gonna use this to catch any of the herbs and pour it into my drippings pan. And that's my gravy. I'm just kidding. They're like, it's really watery, Meg. It's really loose. Before I started making everything for Thanksgiving. I'm just kidding, I don't make everything. But my mom is celiac, so she cannot do flour. A lot of people do the butter and the roux to thicken their gravy. She can't do that. So we do cornstarch and water. It acts like a thickener. And the thing about cornstarch, the slurry, first of all, you need to make a slurry. You can't just pour cornstarch directly in there. It'll glob up and won't work. So you want to take cold water and you want to add the cornstarch, and this is the slurry. And the other thing about cooking with cornstarch, it has to come to a full boil for it to fully activate and to thicken. So if you add it and it's not boiling, you're like, it's still super loose. It's like, well, you got to give it a second. because it'll thicken up real quick. So whisk. This is at a simmer. I'm gonna whisk and I'm gonna slowly add in my slurry a little bit at a time, and then you will feel it start to pull on the whisk. And you'll feel it and you're like, okay, I think it's ready, I think it's ready. And then you can always add more. I wanna whisk. I'm also not left-handed, so this is a little hard for me, but you wanna whisk while you're adding the slurry so you don't get any lumps or clumps. And then we'll bring this to a boil and let it fully thicken. And at this point, you can season with some salt and pepper. If you want to wait and taste it, be very careful. It is boiling. You want to taste it before you add the salt because you don't want to over-season it. And then just let it come to a boil and it'll thicken up. Just going to add a little more. Oh yeah, I can feel it. I can feel the way that it pulls on my whisk that it's thickened. And that's my foolproof way to make gravy. It's gluten-free. You don't have to worry about lumps because I feel like sometimes with a roux you can get some lumps. There's no weird packaged gravy or jarred gravy. You know exactly what the ingredients are that you're putting in it. And I hope you make it. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. You can find all the products that I used and the turkey at thrivemarket.com/prepschool. Happy Thanksgiving. But now that I have this orange, oh my God, it's not an orange, Megan, it's a lemon. You want to take cold water over the canyon, and that will get you into Beverly Hills. LA jokes, woo! Thanks, guys.